Aloha, my love, and welcome to Lemuria Rose Temple. I am Celeste Glus, and today I'm sharing some of the pillars of the high wisdom of Lemuria within the sacred feminine traditions. So, this is something that I've been working with for about a decade now, walking the path of the feminine, meanwhile, remembering Lemuria, being in Hawaii and Lemuria, and uh, reclaiming and remembering um, this lineage. Okay, so let's get into it. One of the main pillars of the sacred feminine wisdom, and this is all sort of the foundations within the S.O.F.I.A school of feminine initiatory arts. So I do run a school curriculum, and it works with 4 different archetypes. And those 4 different archetypes really break down the initiatory process for our spiritual awakening and our activation. And in Lemuria, because it was so high frequency, so for me, Lemuria was the place where human consciousness was seated. The idea and the very physical anatomy and infrastructure that is our human body and our human psyche started in Lemuria. And we were, as a race, founded on the premise of love and God consciousness. And this is very much linked to the way that I work with the sacred feminine. So, one of the main pillars of the sacred feminine in my line of work, I'm just looking at my hair and it's a thing right now. One of the main pillars is gotta love the love frequency. So, the true love frequency. And the way that we view love in this world, especially in our Western culture, is so diluted, it's almost non existent. So in Lemuria, everything was based on the premise of divine and pure, high levels of love. It was the only reason why Lemuria existed to start with, just to experience and to experiment and to expand on the premise of what love is and can be felt and experienced as, and how we can create from that space. And I do believe as a human race, we are starting to awaken to that concept and now even starting to ground and embody that. So, a big part of the school and the lineage and the work that I do is beginning to return to that true love frequency. And that love frequency is very much on our human day to day reality linked to the ascension process, because the ascension process and the way that I work with it is a return to God, to the God essence that's within us, that lives inside us, to the God essence that we are, and we are, that is moving through us. So the frequency, the crystalline frequency of love, and the process of ascension, which is literally crystallizing our cells and our DNA, is all based on that love frequency. So the path of the light bearer within the school is very heavily focused on ascension and the ascension process. And it's because in that process of returning to that crystalline consciousness, we then anchor back into our hearts and begin to awaken the God frequency that created us and that we are and that we are made of and that flows through us and that we so uh, that we so, and when I say we, I say I, that I so deeply feel drawn to. It's like the biggest magnet of this process of the Lemurian rose lineage and the sacred feminine wisdom of Mu. It was an expression of God, anchored in love, capital L, anchored in love. And as we return to that, anchored is the key, because there's a lot going on in spiritual communities in the name of love, because spiritual communities can also be referred to as, also religious institutions have done a lot of things under the name of love, and that love is not a capital L. So when I say anchored, it's embodied, integrated in the body, in higher frequencies of love. And that's what Lemuria was. So the crystalline consciousness, the heart field, and I have notes here, that's what I'm looking down at. And the ascension process, that returning and that merging with the divine, with that God source, that is a huge pillar. Well, they're all huge pillars, but that is a pillar on the path of the Lemurian Rose Priestess and the sacred feminine wisdom of Mu that I work with. Okay, the next one is sacred union. And all of these sort of build on each other, okay? Because when we think of sacred union, well, we could think of many things, but in essence, there's two things. There's sacred union, well, there's three, the Holy Trinity. There's the sacred union with the divine. So that's what initially awakened within me. In the physical, what happened for me was there was sacred union in the physical. So we work with sacred union within the school in partnership and reclaiming that partnership, that sacred union between two people. That frequency in itself is a very potent container and has always been a potent container in the mystery schools. And that's part of the sacred union process. There's then the sacred union that also awakened within me in this process of of remembering. And it's this absolute desire to merge with the divine. There is nothing more important than to return to God's essence and to reunite with the God frequency. So that is also referred to as sacred union. And of course, turning within, creating sacred union for ourselves, sacred union with our own bodies. So sacred union in partnership in self and with the divine is a pillar on this Lemurian Rose Priestess path within the S.O.F.I.A school. And reclaiming that in this modern day world. Okay. Next is the sexual mysteries. And I won't be going deep into that because that's something that needs a lot of background, a lot of foundation to be even discussed. But understanding that true force, understanding that the true energy behind that, understanding what it's really for, how it's been distorted, how it's been used and misused and used against us and inverted and distorted. All of that is part of the mysteries within the lineages of the feminine and the mystery schools of the feminine, the mystery schools within Lemuria and Atlantis and Egypt and so on. Reclaiming that true energy and raising it to its true frequency is absolutely necessary, and it's a pillar on this path, on the path of the Lemurian Rose lineage and the sacred feminine wisdom of Mu. And that goes hand in hand with this last pillar I want to talk about, which is creation. Because when we can reclaim that true energy then we reclaim an aspect of creation. And this is very specific also to women and working with the womb and the creation codes. Lemurian rose lineage is heavily, is I would say even mainly based on the creation principles and creation codes. And we must, you cannot go around it. We must reclaim that true energy of the lower energy centers in order to anchor into that first pillar that we talked about, that true heart frequency, and anchor in the highest levels of love, so that then we can create from that space. So creation via our body wisdom, creation through the technology of sound and light and intention and thought and consciousness. And of course, using energy as a way to support our creation. So creation in itself. And I almost feel like that creation pillar does come in toward the end. I didn't mean to do this. It doesn't have any specific linear pattern, but maybe it does. Because the true creation codes will come in, will start to come in once the other codes, I'm not going to say are complete, but are standing, are anchored, are embodied in our being. And being that merge between the seen and the unseen, the heaven and the earth, the above and the below, that was the purpose of Lemuria. And that is the purpose of this knowledge and this wisdom being shared now, is that we must reclaim that ability to bridge that gap and become the bridging of that gap and anchor, like I like to say, the celestial consciousness, because our body is a vessel for that, is a container for that. So those are the pillars that we work with inside the S.O.F.I.A school. If that is something that calls to you, check out the website, celestegluz.com or lemuriarosetemple.com. I am currently launching the very first course on menstrual magic. And it's just divine, because we are reclaiming the magic, the literal magic behind our cycles as women. So if that's something that calls to you, check out the website, and I will see you next time. Make sure to like and subscribe. It helps me. It helps get this wisdom out and awakened into the collective. Okay, my love, sending you many Lemurian rose blessings. Until next time. Mwah.